Good morning, Papua New Guinea. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to join the country in mourning and paying respect and paying tribute to late Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare for what he has done to us as a country and to us as individuals. Words can't express our gratitude and appreciation for what he has done for men and women of this land. If you permit me to go a little latitude and have room to maneuver over his personal life, he is such a great man this country has ever heard. He was recognized by his family as a loving and caring father to his children, to his grandchildren, and to his great-grandchildren, and a loving and bosom husband to his wife. He was recognized by his tribesmen and clansmen as their village elder. He was recognized by the people of Angoram as the true spirit of the mighty Sepik River. He was recognized by the people of East Sepik Province as their long-serving governor. He was recognized by the men and women from the land and bread of this country as our liberator, as our first Prime Minister, and of course, our founding father. His recognition didn't stop there. It further went upstairs. He was recognized by men and women from the Pacific region as one of the chief of the Melanesia. He was recognized by the colonial masters as the liberator of the country. He was recognized by political leaders, prime ministers, and presidents of the world as the first Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. He was recognized by the royal families of England. He was recognized by distinguished men and women of all calibers around the world in whatever capacities that he crossed paths with. For such men, he deserves our respect. For such men, he deserves our gratitude. For such men, he deserves our honor and praise. For such men, he demands our sincere condolences. You know, the tragedy in every society around the world is that we tend to rhapsodize men and women who do good things when they are dead and vilify them in life. Yet wisdom demands that we lionize men and women who do good things when they are alive and well. I know for sure that he has been recognized in many occasions. For instance, his face has been depicted on the 50 kina note. But that is not enough. For such men, he deserves more than that. It is noteworthy as we mourn and remember Somare at this time that his death was earmarked by several monumental milestones. In 1945, during his infant years, the world sat in San Francisco in the United States of America to create institutions of the United Nations. 3 years later, those of you who will remember, under the patronage of Edric furthermore, the most pernicious regime of color differentiation amongst men was instituted. During this time, you would also remember that almost all communities around the world was already beginning to recognize the whole colonial project was inimical to human civilization. There were only 2 countries in the Pacific region that got independence in the 1960s, and only 7 countries that got independence in 1970s, and only 3 countries in 1980s. Among those 7 countries, Papua New Guinea was one of them. When the Europeans were fighting, we call them tribal warfare because Europeans do not have tribes; they have country. We call ourselves tribe. When they had their tribal warfare, what we call them war wars. When the war was happening in Europe, this little old fellow from the Pacific province was thinking loud in his mind that what would he do to bring those people from all corners of Papua New Guinea for one cause, and that is to get independence. One thing that he knew for sure, in order to bring the diversity into unity, is to seek first the political kingdom, and the rest will be added unto him. But the question that one must ask, a man like Somare to be mocked? And my submission is that such men are never mocked. Such men are celebrated. Such men never dies. It is the great Mahatma Gandhi said several years ago when he was confronting with the colonial powers that they may torture your body and even take your life away, but they will never kill your ideas. What were those ideas did Somare have in mind? In his mind, he thought that one day men and women of this land would be given the opportunity to preside over our health system so that our children and our mothers can be served medically. In his mind, he thought that one day men and women from the length and breadth of this country will be given the opportunity to preside over our transport system so that they may build roads to where they belong to. In his mind, he was eloquent as he was passionate that it is about time we should give equal opportunity to men and women of this country to take charge of the government offices to protect the lives of our people and not to run the lives. In his mind, he thought that it is about time we should protect our resources so that the foreigners may not come and squander and plunder our resources, or else we become heroes of woods and drawers of waters in our own land. In his mind, he had all these ideas that one day we will run our own affairs, and that was not far from his dream. The rest is history. Here we are, as free men and free women who have inalienable rights endowed in us, and among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is why I'm able to say, whole soldiers never die. And such a whole soldier is Michael Thomas Somare, in whose memory we are paying our tributes at this time. You know, when the Europeans were circumnavigating in the high orbits of war to address adversities among themselves, when these tribal wars were happening in Europe, Somare in his much younger days heard of these wars. Not long ago, He handled a land of 1,000 tribes with 800 plus languages divided with distinct cultures and traditions like a piece of cake. Such movement has sent a shockwave to the north and to the corridors of what we call the United Nations, when he led the tribes of many languages on the walk to independence, a walk to remember by us, by our children, and our children's children going forward. For such men like him, we are here present. But this land of Papua New Guinea is also a land of many great people, and therefore, when we are remembering him, we must also remember those who are his comrades in arms. We must remind ourselves that this land has given us great men such as late Yambaki Okuk. We must remember them. We must remind ourselves that this land has given us great leaders such as Se Teaba for his strongest opposition ever in this history. We must remember them. We must remind ourselves that this land has offered to us great leaders such as late Bill Skate, late Sam Mekre Morata, late John Guinea, and many others who have served the government. We must remember them. We must also remember those who are alive and well, such men like Sir Julius Chen, Pais Winti, Rabin Amalia, and other young leaders who have served this country, who are here present. We must remember them because the work that was started by the likes of Somare was continued and realization by those leaders, that the struggles against evil is like a relay, that you pass the torch from one generation to another. But the question is, what really made him to take this pathway? What really made him stood tall among many young men and women in that era? Little did I know that in his mind, he thought that, is there a fair deal for the people of Papuan region who are working in Port Moresby? Little did I know that in his mind, he asked, is there a fair deal for those islanders working in the plantations? Is there a fair deal for people of Medeng, Sipik and Morbe who are working in the minefields, where they only see the ship going through, which they do not know where the ship is going to? Is there a fair deal for them? Is there a fair deal for the children coming after us? Is there a fair deal for our resources that we tend to claim as ours, or are we only the gatekeepers in our own land? Is there a fair deal for our children's children, for our land and the resources that are in it? Or will they become hewers of wood and drawers of water in their own land? Is there a fair deal for every one of us? The country and the world would remember what he has done to this country and the people of this country. The world would remember what he has done to other countries in terms of international relations and politics. The world would remember what he has done to other economies in terms of trade. But you and I will not remember what he has gone through in his personal life while he was struggling to preside over our health systems, to preside over our transport system, to preside over our education system. He sacrificed his family. You and I will not remember the very moment that he didn't have food on the table for his family, when he was working day and night to provide food for the entire people of Papua New Guinea. You and I would not remember the very moment that he didn't have money in his pocket, when he was working day and night trying to budget for the country. Those days and moments in life we will never remember. That is the saddest thing. For such men deserves our respect, our gratitude, and our recognition. I take this time to thank the people of Pacific Province for rendering one of their great sons to us. It is because of him we are here. I take this time to thank the people of Pacific Province, especially Anguram, for giving us this fine man to liberate us from the tyranny of colonialism. Heroes are never mourned. Heroes are celebrated. For such great men, he will be celebrated in many occasions by many people for what he has done to this country and to the people of this country. He was such a charismatic, authentic, very transparent, although he might have some gray areas in his leadership. But such man is rarely found in this country. The last time I checked, when there are men and women who are good leaders, they can catapult their countries within a very short space of time into the higher orbits of development. For such, Somare has been a great man to this country or to this part of the region. He will be remembered by many. Therefore, he took pride and place in my life for what he has done to this country. Israel will take a special place in the hearts and minds of those people who love this country very much. And for those people who cherish him, who acknowledge what he has done to this country, who appreciate him, who respect him, who gratifies him for what he has done, shall he take a special place and pride in their lives. With this, thank you for what you have done to this country. You will be remembered. May your soul rest in eternal peace. God bless.